everybody. This is Amy Gleason from Plastic City Comic Con. I am here live with Keith, right there.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about Plastic City Comic Con. So, if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in and go ahead and ask us anything you want to know about the convention. We're off on a pre-convention secret mission tonight, so maybe you'll hear a little bit about that in the future. What do we have going on, Keith? So this weekend we've got CalmerCon coming up.
Yeah.
CalmerCon is a sensory-friendly convention put on by our friend Adam Wilson, and it's going to be in Gardner, Mass.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's officially the start of convention season this coming weekend.
Yep, the official start of con season. We've got a pretty busy season planned for April, and one of the first things we're doing is CalmerCon.
Yeah, we got a few next week's Beverly Comic Con.
Beverly's next weekend?
One we've been doing for a while. It's a great show.
Yep.
It's a free show to the convention to people want to go.
Yeah, it's a free show. Beverly is really cool. I love that it's free. Free is like the first year of Plastic City that we did. That was a free convention. This year we did go up to $5, so that's just to ensure that we can bring you all the quality that you've come to expect from Plastic City. Beverly is free though, and that's not this coming weekend, that's next weekend. And it's kind of a neat little gallery show with a whole bunch of comic artists and vendors, pop culture vendors selling their stuff. So that's down in Beverly.
And then the following week is us.
Yeah, the following week is Plastic City Comic Con. So
actually, wow, that's what, 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah, 2 weeks from Saturday. So we're going to be really hitting the pavement, doing a lot of promotion, getting out there, sharing the news about Plastic City, putting up our flyers. Hopefully people will be seeing some of our commercials. We have some commercials going up.
Oh yeah, the cable commercials are going live, what, this week?
Yeah, this week. The cable commercials should be coming up, either this week or next week. I'm trying to remember. We'll put a little shout out on our page when the commercials go live. What else we got going on for Plastic City? So we've been putting up our videos on YouTube, and the videos we've been putting up had a lot of pictures and a lot of edits, which take a little bit of time, and I don't mind doing it, but I've kind of fallen behind, and I can admit to that. So if you are a creator and artist and you haven't seen yourself yet on our YouTube channel, that is why. You can blame me.
We could probably do a video and just go through the rest of the list.
We have a question. Bill is asking if parking is an issue. No, parking is really not an issue.
No, there's two big lots at the Wallace Civic Center. I mean, they used to do huge concerts there and big games and everything. So it's like a giant auditorium. So they host a lot of championship hockey games there.
Yeah, they do. Fitchburg State University does their hockey there, and I think Fitchburg High School, Oakmont used to back in the day. But parking is free, and
it's not an issue. Although you may have to walk for a little bit.
Yeah, there might be a little hoof in it.
The lots are pretty big, but if it does fill up, there's a lot in the front and on the sides. So I mean, there should be plenty of parking. I know it wasn't an issue last year, so.
The only thing this year is Fitchburg State University does use a portion of their parking lot for. Move to April, yeah. So it's going to be on a Saturday. There might be some Fitchburg State folks there. However, there's no school on Saturday at Fitchburg State. So we are anticipating that lot's going to be cleared out too. And there is more than adequate parking, so should not be an issue. What are some of the other perks we've got? It's pretty easy to get to. We're located right on John Fitch Highway in Fitchburg, right next to Coolidge Park. So
bring a light jacket.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, definitely bring a light jacket. Yeah, you're welcome, Will. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, because the ice comes off the hockey rink, I believe, this coming weekend. So, the ice will be gone and it won't be wet or anything. But that cold air is probably going to still be in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so even if we have a hot day, it's probably going to be pretty cold in there still.
Well, it'll be cool. If you've ever been to a hockey game as a fan, it will be warmer than that. The ice is going to be out. The doors are going to be open, but it does have that sort of cave effect where the concrete really absorbs the cold, and it takes a while to heat up. So you might want a jacket. If you're cosplaying in any kind of big costume, you'll be totally fine. If you're a vendor, you might want to bring a sweatshirt because you'll be sitting there for a while. But personally, I would rather be a little bit chilly than overheating.
Yeah.
We were at Boston.
Why we moved it to April.
Yeah, that's the main reason we moved it. We used to be in July, but there is no air conditioning at this arena. So if we stayed in July and it was a hot day, oh, it would have been miserable. Yeah.
Last year we lucked out because it was only 79 on the day of, and it was, it was comfortable in there. But even some people told me that they thought it was a little stuffy. So I mean, that could go south if it's really like a 90-degree day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people dying of,
Yeah, no, we don't.
hitting their head on that concrete or passing out.
We were at one convention one year, and the Artist Alley section we were in had no air conditioning. It did, but the air conditioning kind of stopped working, and it was miserable. I got so hot. And then you get so you have all these artists in Artist Alley, they're sweating. All the attendees are sweating. All the people in their convention gear and cosplay, they're sweating. So next thing you know, it's a horrible mess of sloss and discomfort. Yeah. So we should be relatively odor-free if it's in the winter. In the early spring where it's nice and cool. What are other things? We got a snack bar. The concession stand in the Wallace Civic Center will be up and running, and they do sell beer, right? Yeah, so there's beer available, which is always nice for me. Keith doesn't drink beer, but anyway, I won't either because I'm going to be working. But for those of you who wish to imbibe, there will be beer at the concession stand. They've got pretty much your normal fare. They've got fries, I think they have soft pretzels, sodas, all kinds of things. So
yeah, and then I believe there's Barbara's Homemade Brownies coming this year too. Up near the concession stand, and they'll be selling like superhero themed brownies and stuff. So you could get a burger or whatever, but then there's a brownie there if you want a dessert. So that should be right. I believe they're right next to the concession stand. I'm starting to put the map together now, and I have them really close. I figured that would be the smart move to have that close by. And then also on the floor, we Wild Bill's Soda is going to be there this year. And if you guys have been to other conventions around, you know that they're a big soda vendor. So you can buy a cup from them, and you can drink all day from their soda, which is pretty nice.
mm-hmm.
It's a nice little perk. And then I also believe Johnny C said he's going to have his coffee stand ready too, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have
people
coffee.
Can get a nice coffee if they want, and that'll be on the floor. So he's doing a kind of hybrid thing where he's selling coffee but also selling his comic. It's almost like a tie-in to the comic, which is kind of a neat idea. So if you guys are looking for a coffee, Johnny C is the guy to find out on the floor. Yeah, that's pretty much it for food. I mean, last year didn't the Wallace start barbecuing outside too?
Yeah, they did.
So I mean, there's definitely plenty of food to go around.
Yep.
I'd say one thing to be on the lookout for is there's no ATM on the premises. So if you are using cash, actually we prefer cash at admission just because it moves things along quicker. So if you guys bring cash, that'd be great. Most of the vendors nowadays, though, have a little swiper with them. And if I'm not mistaken, the signal wasn't bad there last year. I don't think we've gotten any complaints from people about.
No, we didn't. There's Wi-Fi available for the vendors.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, remember. So the vendors have Wi-Fi. So if they've got any kind of card reader or anything, chances
most
are
of
good.
the vendors working at these shows have some kind of, either the PayPal one like we have or Square. So you guys should be covered in that arena. But yeah, I mean, obviously it helps us get people through the door quicker. If people bring cash, we could just get everybody in, and But we also have Charger if we have to do a credit card. So, but yeah, just keep that in mind. There's no ATM, so that things. Although there is a bunch of banks on the way to Wallace Civic Center.
Yeah, there are banks on John Fitch Highway.
So if you had to leave and come back, we're gonna give everybody tickets. So everyone that pays admission. So just like a movie theater, hold on to your ticket. You can just come back in. So if you have to leave to get cash, that's not a problem.
Right. And there's also a whole bunch of restaurants. There's like a Taco Bell. There's a
if you don't
McDonald's.
Want,
99. So yeah, if you don't want to eat at the concession stand, there's plenty of places to eat on John Fitch Highway. Coolidge Park, which is right next door, I wanted to point that out. That place is huge. So if you're bringing little ones that might want to run around outside after, they can always go to Coolidge Park right next door. So there's definitely something for everybody there.
Yeah, definitely. First 500 people in the door can get a free comic from Alterna Comics.
Yeah, free comics.
Amazing Age #0. I know we did a video on that, and I think we did a promo for it on our page.
Yep.
The Alterna Comics, which, if you're not familiar with them, they are a small independent publisher, but the big thing about them is they've brought back newsprint.
They be bringing back the newsprint.
Yeah, they're printing comics on newsprint again, which is the paper they used to print all comic books on up until like the late 80s, early 90s, and then they moved to higher grade paper. But the great thing about printing on newsprint is that you can deliver a comic for pretty cheap. So these guys sell almost all their comics for $2 or less. I think the standard price is $1.50.
What's your favorite Alterna comic? So I know you've read a lot of Alterna comics. I read a few also. What's your favorite?
There's a lot of good ones. Probably right now, I think Doppelganger is like one of their best titles. I really like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it looks like they have a ton of great stuff coming up this year. Like I keep seeing promos for stuff. It looks awesome. So, but I mentioned that because we've got 500 issues to give away to people. It's the 0 issue.
Yep, of Amazing Age 0,
yeah,
right?
and I told Peter that he should bring the entire Amazing Age miniseries to
we've got a question.
Okay.
So, our question is, we have never been to this one. Can you please define special guest? Just curious. Thank you. So, Keith, how do you define special guest for Classic City?
What do you mean? Like,
what do you mean when you say special guest?
Okay, so I don't...
so I can try to take a stab at that.
Well, our philosophy is, I guess, I could give our philosophy on the show and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, but I think she means special guests, like how we have DeMatteis is one of our special guests.
Yeah.
What makes him a special guest versus special guest Jay Moulton?
Oh, I see.
So Jay Moulton is an extra special guest, but somebody like DeMatteis, why is he a special guest?
Oh, okay. Well, we try to do, I mean, we don't, because we deliver such a cheap price, we try to get at least like one good, or one established, I should say, comic book guest. A person that's done, a lot of stuff in the industry that's well known to people. And we've been also trying to do that with a media guest, so that we get one media guest and one comic book guest, and we call them we make it special for them. So we have our media guest of honor and our comic book guest of honor.
Yeah, I guess guest of honor is the
is the more term.
accurate way to describe it.
Everybody else kind of falls under either a retailer vendor or an artist or writer or a food vendor, I guess, right? Or
yeah, we have artists, writers,
things.
small press.
Small press. We have like a couple podcasts coming. I mean, you can see the whole list of guests on the Plastic City website. It's currently updated with everybody on there, I think. But comic book guest of honor this year is J.M. DeMatteis, who is famous for probably the biggest claim to fame was when him and Kevin Maguire and Keith Giffen revitalized the Justice League back in the late 80s and made it like a comedy. They're also the guys that kind of made Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Booster Gold.
Yeah, big type
Booster
characters.
Gold.
Well, the reason they did that is when they did the Justice League back then, little comic history for you guys. When they did the Justice League back then, in the 80s, DC Comics would not let them use all the big characters like Batman. They couldn't use Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman in the Justice League, if you believe that one.
So like the big three.
They couldn't use the big three because they were doing other things with those characters. So they took them and they took what was left and basically said, why don't we just make this a comedy? And they kind of made it like, and it worked. I mean, the book had like 3 spin-offs. There was like Justice League Europe, there was Justice League Antarctica, there was like a bunch of stuff. But it was a comedy, and I think that's when J.M. DeMatteis was at his best, in the late 80s. He still does great work, don't get me wrong, but he was had a ton of books around that time. He also did Spectacular Spider-Man for a while with Sal Buscema, which is heralded as one of the best runs in Spider-Man history. He also did the Kraven's Last Hunt, which is definitely familiar with most comic fans that know Spider-Man. And most currently, he just did Constantine, City of Demons for the CWC. He writes a lot of animation, too.
Constantine, City of Demons, by the way, is really good. And I've never really read much Hellblazer. Don't really need to. So, really recommend it. We're getting some good questions here, too, hon.
Yeah, what do you got?
A Mitch Halleck, I think. He wants to know, what is the capital of Peru? What is the capital of Peru?
I don't know. What is that?
I don't know either. I suggest that we consult Google. And Jason Moulton wants to know, who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Grant?
Isn't it Grant?
I think so.
I don't know. I'd like to think I'm okay at trivia, but questions like this just get me. I don't know.
That's great. Oh man, but
so we get DeMatteis. How many promoters does it take to change a light bulb? Well, we've got 4 different promoters trying to change this light bulb right now, which is awesome. So this is a good opportunity to give a shout out to Connecticut's Terrificon, which is an excellent convention we're doing this summer, right?
Yes.
And so shout out to Terrificon and shout out to Green Mountain Comic Con or Comic Fest.
Comic Expo.
Expo, sorry.
Which is,
Green Mountain Comic
actually
Expo.
The weekend that we're at Beverly Comic Con is the weekend at Green Mountain Comic Expo. It's Jay Moulton's show. And that's a very comic book focused show too. So if you're tired, I'm noticing a trend this month with Comic Cons. If you're tired of the media, pop culture cons that are just, celebrities that are sucking up all the money, and you're just looking for simple comic book shows, these are the ones. Green Mountain Comic Expo, Beverly, and the one the week after us is called Little Giant Comic Show, and that's by Jason Brodnick, which I met up at Harrison's Comics. Great guy, and he's doing the same thing. He just wants to see comic books and artwork and artists. So
we got another question from a Laura. Can we purchase tickets before the convention or during?
Yeah, unfortunately we're not that we're not as highbrow as say Terrificon with advanced ticket sales. We're more in the realm of when conventions had the guy with the cigar box at admissions just taking money, and it's pretty much it. Down the road that might happen, but right now it's just at the door, unfortunately. But if you're worried about us selling out, I don't think that's the case.
No.
Usually our show, the way people show up, which is a great thing, I think, is that it's staggered throughout the day.
Yep.
It's not all front loaded. Like, there's not a million people waiting outside at 10 o'clock. But it comes gradually in waves, so you'll start seeing people at 10, 11, it's like waves.
As a reminder, the hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We did get a question about that. So 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And back to Laura's question about pre-sales, which we don't do. You just buy your ticket that day at the door. Sometimes there's a little bit of a line, but it really goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we got 2 people taking money and passing out tickets, and I may hang around up there too for a little while at the beginning of the day, and if it starts to get backed up, I can start taking money too. So it goes pretty quick. I don't think anybody ever really waited a long time, right?
No.
Last year, so.
No. We did get, cash or credit debit for tickets. We can take credit or debit.
But it slows
things down. So if you want to get in, get shopping, get looking at stuff, cash is really the easiest and the quickest for everybody.
And it's also kind of why we went up to 5 too, because I hate to say it, because I always went to the bank a million times that day, because last year we did $2, because I was just trying to keep it low for everybody, but now I understand why people round it up to odd numbers, just so that they don't have to make
we don't want to make change.
Yeah.
so we have some
peek behind the curtain there for you.
Bitcoin is not accepted. We unfortunately cannot accept any cryptocurrency. Yeah, that's again this Mitch guy. I don't know,
Mitch.
But yeah, Mitch actually did have a good question. He said, now that there are a lot of cons at casinos and malls, do you think abandoned drive-ins are the next venue? That maybe
would be kind of fun.
Maybe like a flea market. I don't know.
The spaces are already marked by the poles, so
True.
You could do something there. The only problem with that is weather. Weather would always be your enemy at those.
And we did get a safety question here. So. Yeah. Keith is driving. I am not driving. I am the camera person for this video. And you see Keith looking at me a lot, answering my questions. That's what he does whenever he drives, even if there is no camera. So Keith is always looking at me when he's talking to me. So it's relatively safe. Not a lot of traffic out right now. We're good. Don't worry.
I'm an expert multitasker, so.
Oh, yeah. And Laura also, we know Sean Sweeney.
Yes.
Yeah, see?
Well, he didn't get a table this year. I don't know what happened there, but
he might not have made it. We did have some issues, not issues, but we did have some people. Sorry, we did have some people who didn't get their applications in time, or kind of missed the window because we did change the date. Unfortunately, we did change the date as we discussed earlier. Most of the people,
the show sells out quick.
And the show does sell out quick. Yep.
Put the tables up in November, and we were out of them by the end of January. So it wasn't a long time. And then I opened up the upstairs area and added another 20 spaces up there, and that sold out too. So it's like, we have more tables than ever this year. We got rid of all. We should mention we got rid of the vehicles too, so we can put more tables.
We got a question about how do book authors do at our convention?
I've heard. I'll tell you this. I always rate. People kind of lie back and forth. This is a little peek behind the vendor window. Some people inflate how well they do at shows. It's just a thing where they don't want to do well or not. Or just to give the appearance that they're doing well. One thing I will say is that when I see authors signing up again and again each year, that tells me that they're doing decent. I actually, since we talked about Sweeney, he told me, and you take this with a grain of salt, that he sold like, oh God, maybe 10 books last year, which is pretty impressive for an author, honestly, at these shows. That's like, I mean, if you're selling books at $20 a pop and you sell 10 of them, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that
like
is pretty good.
You know? And there's a bunch of people that have done our show all 3 years that are authors, so I think they do well enough to keep going. So yeah, so
we did get a complaint about the lighting, so
yeah, we're gonna
wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a few anyways. So.
Maybe in a future video, Keith can talk about the plaque in his teeth and his posterior cleansing routine. That would be John Samito from Saturday Morning Collectibles. John is asking some really hard-hitting questions that we're going to have to get back to him on. John is with Saturday Morning Collectibles and will be at Plastic City selling his stuff, which is really cool. Lots of old comics, great toys, collectibles. So,
no, he's bringing 50-cent books.
50-cent books, nice.
Or dollar books. You know, he sells a ton of those at our show. So if you're looking for cheap comics.
Okay, so it's 50-cent books, not the toys and collectibles and stuff. To get those, you got to go to what do you call it there? Saturday Morning Collectibles at the Raynham Flea Market. But we're gonna wrap it up, and we will see how people respond to our video. Maybe we will do another one, or we can answer more questions. And we'll see you guys later. Don't forget, Plastic City, Saturday, April 21st.
They can leave more questions in the comments. They can leave more questions in the comments.
Well, that's what I mean. When we can see how we get responses. So, have a great night, you guys. We will catch up with you later.